And I would like someone to update us on the telephone call between the High Representative and the Foreign Affairs Minister of Turkey, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, held some hours ago. What did they talk about? How did the Turkish side see the results of the Gimlik Council on Friday? And how do we move on from now and from here? Thanks.
Thank you, Athanasios. Peter promptly joined me. Peter, go ahead.
Hi, Athanasios. Thank you very much. I will try to answer those questions which are for the EU to answer. So I will not be answering on how the Turkish side is assessing the results of the informal ministerial meeting in Berlin. I can confirm that High Representative Josep Borrell spoke to the Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu. This is part of their ongoing conversations. You know that in the past they had both phone calls and personal meetings, and this is the way how the HRVP proceeds. In order to maintain the dialogue with Turkey. On this particular occasion, the main reason for the phone call was to debrief essentially the Turkish partner about the outcome and the discussions of the foreign ministers of the EU on the relations between the EU and Turkey and on the situation in the Eastern Mediterranean, in line with the messages which were shared with the public on Friday after the informal meeting by the foreign ministers. So the Turkish side was informed both publicly through the messaging from the Gimnik and then also directly and personally by the HRVP about the EU's expectations from Turkey in order to find solution, peaceful and calm solution to the tensions in the Eastern Mediterranean, and how the EU sees the way towards de-escalation and measures which the EU is ready to take and is already taking in order to react to Turkish behavior, which is, as the ministers have clearly stated, source of concern for the whole EU.
Thank you, Peter. I will now invite you to raise your hand if you have additional questions to Peter on this very subject, which was discussed at the Gimnik. So on Turkey. So I understand that Sarah has a question for Peter on the subject. If that's the case, go ahead. But I understand that, yes, Athanasios has a follow-up. So Athanasios first.
Thanks again. Since you mentioned the expectations of the European side, there are also expectations from the Turkish side. And that question was posed also to the High Representative on Friday, but the answer was not that clear. The Turkish side wants to discuss other issues together, bundled together with the issue of delimitation of maritime zones with Greece. There are things that they think that they want to discuss together with the maritime zones. So could that be the issue, or are you in favor of a monothematic discussion only on the maritime zones in the Eastern Mediterranean and nothing else on the negotiation table? Thank you.
Well, the bottom line is to have the dialogue going instead of unilateral actions which increase the tensions in the area among the neighbors and among the EU and Turkey as such. The ministers were very clear that they want to find a path towards a healthier relationship between the EU and Turkey and give a serious chance to dialogue. So at this stage, I wouldn't go into speculation on the agenda of the dialogue, but into the fact that it is essential to stop unilateral actions. It is essential to stop exchanges of messages through the media and declarations and statements, which we are witnessing right now between Turkey and Greece, for example. But it is essential to go into the dialogue, into a serious, honest dialogue, tackling all the open issues, because only in the dialogue and in negotiations you can pursue the escalation and the path towards stability and lasting solutions, which are so necessary in our relations, both as a neighbors of Turkey and as a partners of Turkey, and that concerns the individual member states and the EU as a whole.
Thank you, Peter. The next question will be for Sarantis. Sarantis, please go ahead.
Good morning from me as well. It's clear you have been pushing for dialogue between Greece and Turkey. Ankara has a casus belli warning on the table against Greece. Do you believe that there can be a dialogue with casus belli on the table?
As I mentioned, we don't see it very productive to comment on the public declarations and statements on exchanges of words, very strong words and unfortunate words, of course. But the ministers were very clear, the foreign ministers of the EU member states were very clear in their discussions and in their conclusions, informal conclusions, of course, not conclusions adopted in writing, but the conclusions as a summary of the meeting, that what we expect from Turkey. The ministers were very clear and determined to show EU solidarity with its two affected member states, namely Cyprus and Greece, and they were very clear in their call on Turkish authorities to end any unilateral activities which are escalating tensions in the Mediterranean, and the ministers and the EU are very clear in preferring dialogue instead of a confrontation. And this is the way which should be pursued, the dialogue as a way to de-escalation. And if it's not possible to have the dialogue, if there is no de-escalation, the EU has launched already steps how to react to situation when there is no change in this behavior, and take appropriate measures. And they were already outlined after the discussions by the ministers.
Thank you, Peter. I understand that Maria has a question for Peter as well, and I presume it's on the same topic. If that's the case, Maria, go ahead. Maria, are you connected? Do we have Maria on the line? She should be on the line, but you just need to press the button speak for us to hear you. Yes.
I did. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, we can see you. Please go ahead.
Ah, okay. So I was telling that it's just a quick follow-up. If you do you see any more moves on the diplomatic side? Are there any specific steps ahead and ahead of the European Council in September? Thank you.
Well, of course, the diplomacy needs to take its course, and the call between the HRVP or the call by the HRVP with the Turkish counterpart is one expression of it, how the dialogue continues and how the HRVP sees his space for trying to contribute to finding the solutions. So, of course, I mean, dialogue or the efforts and the outreach towards the Turkish partners will continue, as was the case also until now. It's very clear what are the expectations from the EU side, and what are the timelines, as well as stressed by the foreign ministers in Berlin last Friday and Thursday and Friday. So the diplomacy takes its course, and the exchanges are continuing and will be continuing, hopefully towards a productive dialogue on the escalation in the Eastern Mediterranean and on all the open issues which are source of frictions between EU and Turkey in our complex and currently very difficult relationship.